laughing. In case you didn't, but you just see us laughing, I said, I could have gone to the restroom before we started this, but it's all good. There we go. There we are. We're here. Okay, we got our delay. Let's see. I see us streaming live. Everybody, if you're jumping on, beautiful creature sitting next to me. Okay, got it. Okay, we're on. Yay! Hey, girl. All right, okay, we got people watching. Yay! Okay, now I'm gonna make you nice and huge on my screen so I can see your lovely face. Because everybody, I'm Lauren. I'm Lauren Golden. I'm the founder of the Free Mama and the Free Mama movement. And genuinely, I'm so excited to be here because this is like a little bit of a reunion for me and Amy. So basically, it's a reunion that we happen to be streaming. It's not really an interview. It's like a check-in. And I'm super thrilled because Amy is one of the Free Mamas who I got the pleasure of working with one-on-one. And not just the pleasure of working with one-on-one, but I would say probably based on what I know about you during one of the most challenging times in your life, at least confusing times in your life, you had a lot going on. And unlike a lot of other people that I've worked with during that time, I feel like I really got to know like who you are as a person, Amy, because we were dealing with some really heavy stuff. It wasn't the nitty gritty of freelancing. It was like big decisions. And I just want to say thank you for trusting me with that. It was amazing. I think you are an epic human being. I really do. I think you're hilarious. I think you're loving. I think you're generous. I think you're all the things. And now I'm going to turn it over to you. So do you want to set, if you can, without crying, no, I'm just using will you just start by like introducing yourself a little bit? Who are you? And then we're going to back up and get into the backstory, and then we'll kind of catch everybody up with where you are now.
Awesome. Okay. This is wild. So hi, mamas. Hi, Lauren. I cannot believe we're live on YouTube right now. Like, this is like crazy. So for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Amy Matos, as Lauren mentioned. I live in Southern New Hampshire. I grew up just outside of Boston and then moved a little bit further north right about 10 years ago. I live with my hubby. I've got 2 little ones. They just turned 1 and 3 in February. So we are like all sorts of wild and crazy in toddler life right now, which is so much fun. And I am officially a fully free mama. Yeah, as of March 22nd, I left my corporate life behind and have never been better.
That is awesome. You have so much love already. I just have to tell you, it's like, so just so you know, everybody's really excited to be seeing you today.
Oh my gosh.
I told Amy right before we got on, she watched me scarf down my lunch for about 4 minutes. And I told her that I actually used her as an example at my most recent workshop. And again, we're going to get back to you a year ago, but one thing that I wanted Amy to know about her today is that she is the kind of free mama that, whether you know it or not, Amy, you are an example to other people of not just what's possible in terms of sharing the fact that you left your job with us, but also really a great example in terms of how to do this right, if that makes sense. And I know that you didn't start that way. I know there was a lot of like light bulb moments along the way and growth and all of this stuff. And we'll talk about that. But what I wanted Amy to know is like, when I get in front of a group of free mamas and I say, who here knows Amy Matos? Everyone in the room raises their hand. I wanted her to know that. And I'm like, it was awesome. And when I say awesome, like, why do you know Amy? Like, what does she do? And everyone's like, isn't she the copywriter? I'm like, damn, nailed it. And that right there is why I say, like, you have to become known for something. And it doesn't have, it can be the industry, it can be the niche, it can be your service, it can be a lot of different things, but be memorable. Show up and be memorable for whatever it is that you rock at. And so I actually gave homework, Amy, where people went into Facebook groups and like searched your name and like found your power pitch. Like, it was so easy. Like, within seconds, people had like 3 variations. They're like, got it. And I'm like, I'm like so proud right now. It's so good. But like I mentioned, Amy, it was not always so. And that's okay because we are all a work in progress. So back up for me. Paint the picture of what life was like before you found the Free Mama movement. What were you doing? Where were you at? And what What were you looking for, or were you even looking for anything?
Yeah. So my story feels kind of, I don't know, it feels kind of crazy. It's kind of wild where we are right now. And it's just kind of wild. So I'm sorry. I'm just losing my words for a quick 5 seconds. So before coming to the Free Mama, so it's funny. You were talking about like confidence. Like I always knew that I could do this. I just had to figure out what the heck I wanted to do. And so back, gosh, many, many years ago, and we're talking years, like before I got married years ago, I thought I was going to start a blog because I love to write. Shocker. You guys must not have missed that memo, I'm sure. But I literally went so far, like I created an LLC. I had a website to it, the whole thing. I went and met with a CPA because of my attorney. And he was like, oh, well, how are you going to make money off of this blog? And I was like, nope, I don't know. And I freaked out and I was like, okay, stop. I can't, I don't know what to do. So then I, fast forward, I had a little bit of time in network marketing because, they came in and sold this fabulous life. And I genuinely liked the products and the people who were selling them to me. And, it was right after my first son was born and I wanted to be with him. And so I'm someone who I feel like is a little bit different because all the while, so these things were happening because I don't know, I wanted them, but at the same time, I was working in a career that I loved. I worked in human resources, was in HR for a long time, was really darn good at it. I think because of my ability to connect with people. I don't know. I just was good at my job. What can I say? And so this whole time I'm trying out these little gigs on the side and trying them out and figuring them out. And I'm they weren't me. They didn't work right. And so I just kind of kept doing my corporate thing. So my first son came along and I'm wow, it really would be nice to be home with him more. But my job gives me more flexibility than probably any other 9 to 5s. I basically owned my schedule as much as you can own it in the confines of a corporate world. It was kind of up to me to do what I wanted to do. Because I traveled and visited clients. So I don't know, then fast forward a couple of years and, my daughter came along and I was pregnant with my daughter and I was on maternity leave. And it was hard. Going back to work after my son was born, was hard. Even though I had a great job, great company, great boss, great, everything about it was great. It's hard being a working mom. It's not easy. I was traveling on the road. I pumped while driving, with a hands-free pumping device, with Mack truckers looking at me, legit. That was my life as a working mom. It's flipping hard. And yeah, seriously. And so when my daughter came along, I started having major league anxiety about how old my son had gotten because now we have this other one. And I was just when I got on maternity leave, I was I can't go back. I found your program at late night nursing. And I'm oh, this woman, she's glorious. She talks about, there's a different way to make money than blogging or network marketing. I have to know. And so I signed up for the webinar. I jumped into the Fast Pass. I was convinced that I was going to fly right through. And I did fly through the material, but that it was going to mean that I was going to not go back to work. That didn't happen. I then did go back to work to find out that basically what I had been working for 10 years, which was a huge promotion at a really big company, was dropped in my lap. And it just totally threw me for a loop because I was well, what do I want? I've wanted this for 10 years, but I want my business. I want to be with my kids, but I want to lead this team. And it just totally threw me for such a loop. And so that's kind of the buildup, I guess, or the backstory of where I was and up until the time kind of when you and I started working together more closely.
Yeah, I remember all of that.
It was wild.
Okay, so I have questions, but I kind of want you to keep going because this is great. What happened next?
So basically my boss retired and she had been grooming me to be her successor for a long time. And so I knew that it wasn't a guarantee that I was going to get this job, but it was pretty darn close to being a guarantee. And I then had to move into they had to interview externally in addition to interviewing me. So I was in essence doing my full-time job, doing my boss's full-time job, building a freelancing business, with a newborn who wouldn't eat from a bottle. So it was like excruciating when I went to work because I knew that she wasn't eating from my mother and she wouldn't take milk from a bottle and was like a nightmare, and having a 2-year-old. So all of this, so basically working 2 full-time jobs and building a business and having the stuff going on with babies. So I just worked my behind off. I'm trying not to swear. I worked my tail off. I got the promotion. It was given to me in August. I don't want to say given. I earned that sucker in August. And it was like amazing. And I was like, and it was everything I wanted to be. I cried when my boss told me, like, I work for a wonderful man who like talks more about his 4 kids than anything else in life. Like, talk about like being in a good spot. I had a great team. I had this thing that I had wanted my whole life. And here it was. Cool. And then I also still wanted my business. So it was just kind of crazy. So like in that meantime, when you and I were talking, it was like, I was so, and I see it all the time. Like, and I think what it all came back to was like, I lacked with my business, like clarity as to why I was doing what I was doing. Like, I didn't know, like I got hung up on my website. No, I couldn't get stuff done because my website wasn't perfect, or my pitch didn't have the exact right words.
Right before this.
Or like my pitch didn't have the exact right words, or like I didn't know how to go and show up in Facebook groups because I didn't know what I wanted to say and all these things. Because again, my mind was just like so confused because I thought I wanted one thing, and then there was just way too much confusion that was going on in my mind. And it manifested in me not kind of taking action. I mean, I had some clients that you probably remember, like they were kind of crazy.
Right when you said that.
Like, it was not a great situation. Like, it's kindest person, but like totally on me. It just was not a good situation. And so then that even threw me for a bigger loop because I'm like, why am I going to leave this great thing that I've been working for my whole life, that pays me well, that's comfortable and everything, to go do something that like, I don't know that I'm loving just yet, because I wasn't.
Yeah, totally. So this is, I like want to check this across the room. I'm not asking you any of those questions. Like, this is brilliant. I want to like really get in this with you. So we have 18 people watching live. Let's say, I think we're kind of all over the board in terms of where, you know, people are, like, we've got Jordan and Mia on, which is awesome. And Serena, like Melissa's newer. Melissa's just getting started. So for my newer people who are watching this and the people who are going to come back, like, what would you tell them? Like, what did you learn from that? Like, now fast forwarding, you know, 8 months, I guess, from August-ish, like it's been about 8 months since that kind of like, oh my gosh, I just got this promotion and I'm working for an hourly rate for this crazy person. Like, I don't, like, looking back, what did that provide for you?
What I would say starting out is like, and it's kind of where you start out your program, get clear on why, like do the inner work. For, at least for me, like, I think I really needed to tap it. Yes, it was about my family. This is about my family because I want to, but it's really not. It's about me. I want this. I want to be a business owner. I want to own my schedule. I want the power and the freedom. For me, I feel more confident right now than I ever have in my entire life. This is like a me thing. And that is what, like, discovering that it was about me and that I deserved it and was worthy of it and all of that, that when I kind of came to accept that piece of it, that's when, like, all of a sudden, like, magically all the other stuff came together. And then it was easy to take action. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I figured out a boatload along the way and like made a boatload of mistakes, but it was like that you start with, like, figure out your why, figure out your, like, you start there very deliberately. And I just think maybe I didn't go, I don't know that I went deep enough. I'm like, oh yeah, it's for my kids. It's for my kids. It's not really for me. I mean, they're a part of it, but it's so much bigger than that. It's so much deeper than that. And like, in my business, like, I want to impact a lot of people with it. Like, it's so much bigger than just my family. And I think, so that's what I would say to start is like, get clear on, you know, and be honest with yourself and like hold a mirror in front of yourself. Like, what is it that you really want? Not what your family wants or expects or anything like that. Like, what do you want for you? I think is the most important thing.
That's awesome. So you just said you made a lot of mistakes. What do you think the biggest mistake you've made is?
The biggest mistake that I made was honestly with that client that we were talking about. I didn't, and like my background in my corporate life, I worked in consulting. So I knew all about like managing relationships with clients and setting expectations and setting boundaries, all those things like I knew. And yet as this like fresh, green-eyed, like it's my first time running this as my own show. Like I did everything opposite of what I knew. And it was, again, you talked about before, like a lack of confidence, a lack of saying like, no, this is what I'm doing. This is within the scope of what we agreed to. We're not doing this, like being more clear on my boundaries and just like saying that this is what I am. This is what I'm offering. This is what we agreed to. And that's it. Like, and it was all around the communication and the expectation and the boundaries. And it turned into,
talk dirty to me, Amy. I love those ones.
It just turned into, like, I think you remember, like, I was resentful. Like, it just got into such a bad situation. And it was all, like, I own that. Like, that was on me. I didn't do the right things.
Yeah, people treat us how we let them, right?
Right, exactly. And she, you know, we ended up parting ways very amicably. Like we still stay connected on Instagram and like each other's stuff. And, you know, I wish her, you know, so it's good. So like, it was a great learning experience for me because it just reinforced kind of what I already knew, I guess, anyways.
That's awesome. I think so many times people want that first client to be a forever client. And it could be, like, you could get lucky, but I think if we can just reframe it as like every single thing, especially the things that go wrong, like sometimes we can learn what not to do faster.
Right.
Saying, like fail quick
fail
and
forward.
Yeah. And then, but like learn from it. And so I think you did a really great job with that scenario, that it wasn't ideal. It certainly wasn't ideal for you. It wasn't even in alignment with what you're doing now. But to know that you learned something from it, like I wouldn't trade that for you for anything. Like I think you had to have that experience to have the confidence that you have now when it comes to your communication expectations.
Right. Because like right now, like I very much like I live in my zone. Like I write. You want someone who's going to do graphics for you? Sorry, I'm not doing them. You want me to load stuff in your system? Sorry, not your girl. You want me to like set up your segmentation of your emails? Nope, not me. Like, bye. I don't do that. I write. That's it. I'll give you a Google Doc and you'll love it. But that's it. I'm just not doing those other things. Like I made a very concerted effort at that point in time to say, I really do love my job. I also really want to make this happen, but I'm only going to do this like if I know within me that like it's like lighting me on fire and I feel so amazing about it. Like I am not going to leave something really, really good unless I am going to something that is flipping great. And so I just got very particular and was like, I'm doing what I'm doing and what I love, and that's it.
No, that is like the definition of free mama life. I love it. But what I also want everybody watching to know is that you didn't wait for that beautiful clarity that we see today on YouTube. Like you didn't wait for that to start taking action. So you went through the program, you went back to work, you're kind of coaching with me, but we're mostly coaching through your 9-to-5 job than we are your freelancing business. You stumble upon this client, it's not even doing the things you're doing now. What shifted? How did you figure out what you are doing now? And what did that look like? Like, what was that realization like for you?
Yeah. So honestly, and I'm literally going to move my chair for 5 seconds because I have to shut my door because my cat's opened my doors.
Oh my gosh, my cat is stuck in here and I was going to go let him out. That is
so I had to open my door because all of a sudden I can hear the chaos of upstairs and it's just
open my door for my cat. Chaos. That's hilarious. Cat break, everybody. Oh my God. Can I tell you, speaking of like learning, legitimately, like if this would have happened a year ago, I would have been like beet red and like my cat needs to get out of my room. And now I'm like, it's whatever. I didn't shower today. This is so good.
The other day I was on a discovery call with a client who just told me today that she's in a book, which I'm psyched about because I love her. And literally on the call because, and you know, I only want to work with women for so many more reasons. And this person's not even a mom, but literally in the middle of the discovery call, Kat walks across the view. And then all of a sudden, running out of nowhere is my 3-year-old yelling, "Mommy, mommy, guess what I just did on the potty?" And I'm like, thank you.
So good.
Sorry, this is a little bit not exactly what I was expecting for this call today, but this is where we're at and this is my real life. So this is either going to bother you and you're not my person, or it doesn't, and let's roll with it.
It's a great way to figure out if it's your ideal client or not.
Right.
Okay, but bringing us back from the cat break, what did that clarity moment look like for you where you're like, I'm all in, not all in with freelancing, because we'll get to that part of your story too, but like, I'm all in on writing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And like, you totally changed your power pitch and you went back and tweaked the copy, and you're like, I'm women who, I want to help women who empower women. I want to write for them. Like, you were so honed in on that. Like, how did you get there from where you were?
Yeah. So when in the early stages, I kind of knew that I wanted to support women. I just like, it's actually kind of funny. Like, I got into the HR space because I had my own Me Too moment in the workspace. And so I thought that an HR job was going to allow me to help other women, and it does. And so that was always kind of ingrained in me and in my life anyways. And so when I was first starting freelancing, like, I knew it wasn't like I was going to be like, ooh, I'm going to refuse to work with guys, but I knew I wanted to target women kind of all along. Like, I just liked the idea of using something that I was good at to help them do more of what they loved. And again, what I thought that looked like earlier on is not what it turned into, but that was always sort of there. When I had the aha moment, I still remember, because we were still in a one-on-one coaching. I don't know if you remember this, but the lovely Abby Peretz, who we all know and love, you had invited her in to do a training about to share in the Free Mama program about her email sequence workshop. And because Abby's brilliant, she wrote it in such a way that I'm like, I literally started, I don't know if you remember, I started pacing up and down my hall and voxing you like a mad woman, being like, I was just hit by a bolt of lightning. That's it. That's what I want to do. I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, I knew it was a thing. Because I've been hit by email sequences before, and I've gotten them, but like that I could get paid to write. And it was like everything came hitting all at once, because it was always about, I've talked about writing a book forever. I wanted to blog years ago, but like, I don't write for myself. Like, I didn't want that. Like, I wanted to do something that I love, which is writing, and make money off it and help other people build their businesses with it. And so when she came in talking about that, it was just like light bulbs went off in my head. And I was like, I never even realized that was a thing that I could like charge people to pay me for, even though you talk about email marketing and content creation. Like, it just didn't click. It just didn't click at that point in my life. And I think also, like, when I was starting your program, I was thinking it was all about, I can't go back to work. I have anxiety about going back to work. And so like that whole thing, like, just clouded my mindset. I think I just had a light bulb moment, and I took her training and like never looked back. I mean, I've taken 1 million of her trainings now. I've done one-on-one coaching with her. I adore her. And I mean, right now, because of, her help getting me there, or helping me to helping me, the two of you kind of helped me discover this voice inside of me that like I always knew was there, but like didn't really know how to take out, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally makes sense. I have goosebumps. I'm so proud of you. Okay, I want to talk about where your business is at today and that growth that has happened since that clarity. Well, yeah, just tell us like what, and then end with like your climactic, like how the heck did you decide to go all in on this business and leave your dream job behind? Like, I know that could not have been an easy decision, even though I know how happy you are now. Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy. So this was I forget the time exactly. It was like over the summer. It was right around the time that I got the promotion, that Abby was in the pro, like that she was doing her email sequence training. So literally like everything hitting all at once, of course. Yeah, so since then, after that, like I kind of really buckled down in all areas of my life. Like, I really was focused on my job. like, and doing an amazing job at it. So like, I wanted to know that if I was going to leave it behind, that like I went out on such a high and gave it everything that I could. So I was really focused in my new job as a leader of a team. And I loved that. And I loved my team and did everything for them that I could. In my writing space, I just kind of redoubled down on, because now I've written my whole life. I've written in school. I've done it. Like I actually did email marketing without realizing I was doing it in my 9 to 5. So like I've done this my whole life, but like I'm a little bit of a, I don't want to say like a, you had that mindset guy, Zane, and he was like, there's one of the things that he talks about where it's like, you have to know everything. Like one of his things about, I forget what he called it, but there was a way he described it. I'm like, yeah. But I was like, I've never written an email sequence. I've never written a sales page. Like I need to learn everything that I can about it. What was different, and I was kind of like that when I started the Free Mama originally, but I wasn't taking as much action with the Free Mama when I knew I wanted to be a writer and I knew I had the ability to do it. And I knew I was just going to learn in time as I just did stuff. So I just kind of started. I literally just started. Like one of the Free Mamas actually referred to me, my very first client who I still work with, and she keeps coming back, like on something that's totally different from the majority of my work, but I love her and I like doing it. So we do that. And I just kind of started small, like anyone who would want to like pay me to write something, like I just kind of started there, knowing that ultimately what I was going towards was I was going to build into that. So I just kind of kept going with it. Like I took a couple of Abby's courses. I did one-on-one coaching with her. And I just, I'm a firm believer. I mean, I work almost exclusively with coaches. I know it's not the only way to do it. I know there are free resources out there. I know I could have figured it out myself, but like, I kind of wanted to figure it out faster. I was kind of impatient about it. I felt almost like I had waited long enough. Like my son was getting so much older, like now was my time. So I invested in myself so that I could learn and improve my skills and just kind of went after clients and just sort of figured it out. I started cold pitching people like crazy. I started networking more in groups. I started putting my power pitch in all of them. I did update my website. Abby does utilize Upwork in her program, so I do use that as well. Like I just kind of sort of went all in on it. I just kind of went after it and just sort of figured it out as I went. Like that doesn't mean, like I look at some of the things I wrote in the early days and I'm like, yikes, like I wish I could go back and change I wish I could go back and change that one. But you just kind of figure it out and you learn and you figure out your process as you go. And so that's sort of how I kind of went after being a writer. And then where I am now, I mean, leading up in like December and January were like really hard, like probably equally hard as the summer, because I knew I was really close. Like I was not at a point where my income was replaced yet, and I'm still not. I will be. I'm not there yet. But I kind of went back to my like wants, needs, and haves, and we had some really, really tough conversations because I mean, like the whole money thing's sort of awkward, but like the reality is like when you're leading a team at a Fortune 500 company, like you're making over 6 figures. It's a lot of money to take off the table. And so there were some tough conversations that we had to have, but we looked at our expenses, we changed some things around. I had established enough of like momentum that like our needs were covered. And so we said, we can either wait until I get there and I can continue like burning the candle at both ends, or I'm going to take a leap of faith and know that I'm going to get there. And I just need more time to allow myself to do it so that I'm not like burnt out crazy. And so I just did it. But it was hard because I'm like, I feel so guilty. I just went for this promotion. Should I have not gone for it? Now here I am leaving. Do I deserve this on my own? Like there was like, oh my gosh, like it was hard. But then I just kind of decided that I do deserve it and I don't need to feel guilty. And it was awesome to go for that promotion. And I did a great job for the company as I was there. And I wanted this business for me because I knew it was going to make me a better person, a better mom, a better wife, like all of it. And so I just kind of decided, like we had all the conversations we had to have. We had conversations with my parents because my parents were involved in our childcare. Like we'd have lots of difficult conversations around difficult things. But then ultimately, on the night before my son's third birthday, so my son turned 3 on February 21st, on February 20th, my boss called. I had reached out to him like earlier in the day and he didn't respond. He's a really busy guy. He called me at like 5:15 the night before I was going to be off for my son's birthday. And I just told him, I said, I've been terrified of this conversation, but you need to know that, I've made the decision. I'm going to go be at home with my kids, and, have a new free mama life. And he was incredibly supportive. And apparently his wife did the same thing, lo and behold. And so it ended up being like this beautiful thing that I was agonizing over for nothing. And, it was the greatest thing. And so now I gave them 4 weeks notice, and here I am. And last month and this month have been my busiest months yet, in terms of money making. I signed my biggest client this morning. And now here we are.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I'm so proud of you.
It's wild, isn't it?
Tell you that. And in a year, like that was a long year. Like,
yeah,
you're never going to forget this past year of your life.
It was really crazy. It was totally
you had
crazy.
A baby, you got the promotion you'd been dreaming of. You started a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
You quit your job.
Mm-hmm.
1 year.
Yep. It's crazy. And it's so funny. I remember when I got started in my first one-on-one coaching with Abby, we talked about goals. This is November. And I said to her, and she was like, well, what do you want to set for a goal for a year from now? I said, my hope would be, I want to leave my job a year from now, ideally by my birthday, which is in September. I said, but I'll give myself until next November. And I left in March.
Hey, I talk about a year, by the way, in my book. A year is like the safest goal ever, because it's like far, but it's like not that far. Yeah, no, I totally set the year goal before too. And I also beat mine. So for
sure. Yeah. High five indeed. Wild.
Like, I don't think you even know how proud of you I am. You overcame a lot. And I love that you were actually just talking about something that Mia and I were just writing about, which is your why. And we do start there. And I think you start there, but you've got to go back there, and you've got to go a lot deeper than where you're letting yourself go. And for me, and I've talked about this, and I think you probably now have something you can grab onto as well. For me, it was something very visual. Like, it was walking my daughter to and from school. Like, when we moved here, she was 4. She wasn't even in kindergarten. And we bought this house for us to be able to do that. And when we had rough times financially after we moved, and my husband looked at me and said, do you think you should go get a real job? That was what I literally visualized losing, was like, you are not taking that away from me. Like, that's, and so it's not, but that has nothing to do with parenting or how I parent my kids or how I love my kids or anything. But that was my personal thing of how I wanted to show up for myself and for my kids. And so I think, it's easier to go get a job. It would have been easier for you to stay at that promotion. Totally. But like, to hear how happy you are and like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And I know none of it was easy to get to this point. It
was a wild year. It was difficult, but it was so rewarding at the same, it just was so rewarding. And, I'm just thankful. I mean, my husband, like, he was a trooper this year. Like, it was not easy. I can't imagine that I was like a peach to be around all the time. And, I just feel like so grateful and like so ready to like pay it forward. And like, I just feel like I'm just showing up and it's so silly because there's really like, I could have been doing a better job. I mean, whatever, I am where I am and we are where we are now. But like, I have like all the things that I always wanted to do, like cook dinners. Like, I'm cooking dinners every night and sending him off to work with lunch. Like, I don't set an alarm. I just wake up with my kids when my kids wake up, and I'm still up all hours of the night because I'm a night owl. But like, I'm with my kids and we play and we do things, and I'm exercising again. I'm losing weight. Like, I just like everything about it feels so right. Like my Fem City collective is growing. I got invited to sit on a board, Women's Entrepreneurship Day advisory board in my state. I just invested in another coaching program. Like, I just like, it's just wild. It's been fun. I know you said it. I've heard you say it, like, running your own business is like the greatest personal development you will ever take. And it is. Like, I am a better version of myself than I was this time a year ago, hands down. And that's what's driving me, like, to continue to be better for me, because if I'm better for me, then I can show up better for my family, for everyone else around me.
Oh, okay. Mia, turn that into a quote. That was amazing. Whatever she just said, write that down. Okay. So I want to like bring us in a little bit. What advice would you give to yourself 1 year ago, knowing what you
know? I would say 2 things. One, you're worthy. Like, so much guilt over the course of the past year. Like, there was just so much of it. So one is, you are worthy of everything you want, no matter what it is, whether it's a big ass promotion. I'm sorry, I swore. Whether it's a huge promotion and a business, or whether it's just a business or whatever, like, you are worthy and you deserve it. Number 1. Number 2 is trust your gut. It feels, and this was something that I think came from a lot of guilt. Like, I remember talking and coaching with you and saying, like, if money were no option, what would you do? And I would say, well, I would be at home with my kids. And so I think, it was always there, and it was always there. And had I just dug deeper and like just listened to my gut a little bit stronger, maybe some of my path would have become a little bit more clear. At the same time though, like, I don't regret any of the choices I made. Like, my path is my path and my journey is my journey. And it's what makes me me. It's what makes me hard. Like, I kind of fought to become who I am right now. And I'm kind of okay with that. So like, I would just say, like, most of my stuff would be around like loving myself more. Like, you're worthy, you deserve this, and trust yourself more, trust your gut.
That's really beautiful. What do you think has surprised you the most over the past year?
How much opportunity that there is.
Oh, girl, I'll hate you under the table to say that. Say it again. No, I'm just kidding. So
like, honestly, like, you just, I mean, I worked, so in my consulting life, I worked with small businesses, so very entrepreneurial spirits as it is. And so I would see people starting businesses all the time. And yet I was so oblivious to like this entire world that exists of like online entrepreneurship. And like, there is so much out there. Like, there's so many people with great missions. Like, even if you're like not like this sort of heart-centered type who's like myself, who really wants to hone in on someone who's got like a strong mission that you align with, even if you're just looking to make money and help others make money, which is an awesome mission too. Like, there's so much of it. Like, there's so much out there. Like, the opportunities I feel like are endless. And so like, I feel like for me or for people, like, I almost had to like call my own BS a little bit. Like, when I was being like, oh, there's not, like, that was my own headspace.
People
like,
only want a social media manager. That's the one I get all the time. It's like, should I just do social media because it's the only thing people want? And I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. Like,
no,
you're seeing, but it's also meaning that's what you're focusing on, which is why you're seeing it.
Right.
Like, at one point, did you go, well, I landed on copywriting because that's the only service people wanted. Like, you would not be as like glowing and happy as you are now if you were just doing something because you thought it's what other people wanted. Like,
no,
find the thing that lights you up, and it might not be sexy. Like copywriting is kind of sexy. I'll be honest. Like, I think like all my general VAs in the house, like even Jordan, if you're still on, I don't know if you're on, but I just had a call with someone else right before this, and she's like, I just really like the admin stuff. I'm like, that's awesome.
Then
like, do you realize that's the first thing most people outsource is because they get overwhelmed with it? Like, I literally introduced Jordan in Salt Lake City as like the heart of the Free Mama. If Jordan didn't do what she did as a general VA, I literally could not show up and do what I needed to do. I could not do it because I would be answering emails all day long. Like, and so what you do is important. What she does is important. Whatever you find is important. And there are people out there who need what it is that you're providing. I seriously, I'm gonna like slide you 20 through the computer because that was a phenomenal answer.
Well, and like, I just, I've bumped into some people that you can very clearly see, like, don't, and I've hung out with Violet a little bit online, right? Who clearly don't, espouse an abundance or a wealth mindset, like people who have that poverty mindset and don't want to collaborate, or like, oh no, like she can't be a copywriter because I'm going to be a copywriter, and like, oh no, like that. No. There's plenty of enough to go around for everybody. There's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of people who want what you have. Like, it's just about like, how much do you want it, quite frankly? Like, I had to like literally look myself in the mirror and say, like, how much do you really want this? Like,
it's so true.
And so
we
like
all have excuses to come by, and they're very convenient for helping us get out of things.
Yes.
But that's, Amy, this is so powerful. Seriously. Okay. What would you say has been your biggest takeaway from the Free Mama? Either the community, the coaching, people.
It's hard to pick one. I'm never good at picking one.
Two.
So I adore the community. Like, even though I was quiet this past year for a big chunk of it, because I had to be, like, I have to be very smart with how I'm spending my time when I'm doing as crazy many things as I'm doing.
And I'm glad that you were.
Everybody's wins pushed me. Like, I was like, and I remember Mia asking me for a photo in my Free Mama shirt a long time ago. And I'm like, you better bet you're behind. I am not giving that sucker to you until I am free, because it was like a motivation thing for me. Like, so everyone's sharing their Free Mama wins, their photos in their shirts. All of those things were so motivating for me. And like, I am in a bunch of other groups. We all are. Like, I've never seen a community that so much espouses to this idea of like, we collaborate with one another, and it's not about competing, and it's about lifting one another up. And it's just inspiring. Like, I love what you have created. So I would say that was one of my biggest takeaways. And just, just like the friendships. Like, I'm in Facebook groups that I've had people come to me and say like, oh, I'm in XYZ Facebook group. Someone commented that I should talk to you as a writer. And I'm like, I'm not even in that Facebook group. I can't even say thank you to whomever that was. Like, the community, I think, is probably my biggest thing. Like, and just learning. I would also say just like opening my eyes to like how much more there was that's out there. Like, I was not an English lit major. I actually like pumped that up in my copy because I'm like, I'm a business girl, right? You need to sell stuff. Like, I know how to do that. But like, I wouldn't have even known this was a thing. Like, so in terms of like opening my eyes to what else is out there, like all those opportunities that I just spoke about, like, I wouldn't have known that without this community.
That's so great. That's so powerful. Okay. So can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, of course.
What's next?
So what's next? So I did this is wild. I haven't said this out loud.
I'm like so excited. I don't know what you're about to say.
Yeah. So, and it's just something like, the reality is like, I've always wanted to write a book. I love it. So I joined a new program. It's called Impacting Millions by Selena Sue. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's like just another fabulous online entrepreneur, all about getting publicity. So I am going to
I got all those emails. I got them.
Of course.
Courtney Foster Donahue was an affiliate.
Yep. So I am hardcore going after, I will have my work published in HuffPost Women. I will have my work published in Entrepreneur and Inc. Like, I'm going after them big time. And I'm going after some, big name, kind of publications, because I want to get my work out there. I don't want to say I want to, garbage. I will be known as the go-to copywriter for women who are coaching other women. If you need to elevate your tribe and empower your people, like, I'm going to be the person that you go to, period. And I want like the credibility, the power, everything that comes with publicity and media. And plus, I just love to write. And so I want to see my name. I want some of those media logos on my website, like straight up hardcore, like really, really want it. So I am, we kicked off Impacting Millions on April 3rd. I've loved it so far. I've met a ton of cool new people. Like, it's sort of elevated, like some of the people that I'm hanging out with. And it's, actually I had someone from the program.
junkie like me.
It's just been awesome. Like I've been learning a ton. I mean, it's obviously intimidating. There's an element of like crazy vulnerability and like putting, yourself out there. Like we're talking really to the masses. But I'm excited. I'm ready. And so that's what I'm doing next. Like that's what I'm focused on this year.
Oh my gosh. That's unbelievable. Can you imagine saying that with such clarity and confidence a year ago?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It is so amazing.
It's wild.
You have got to go get on YouTube after this and read all of the love that you are getting. Like, it's unbelievable. Everyone's super pumped for you. You've got quite the family over here.
I love you guys.
Is there anything else that I didn't ask you? I know you said that you were thinking about this interview. So is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to share with anybody watching this who's on the fence or just doubting themselves, or, the conversation I had earlier today with somebody who was almost trying to force clarity. And unfortunately, I think clarity doesn't really work that way. So any last tidbits you want to leave everybody with? Or did we cover it?
I don't know that there's anything that I was expecting you to ask that you didn't. I would just say like kind of the biggest thing for me, and I don't know why this is sticking in my brain right now. And so I don't know if this is really what you're asking, but like I've seen in your group, in other groups that I'm in, like people often get hung, this sort of self-sabotaging, like, oh, my website has to be 100% perfect, or my niche has to be exactly right, or my power pitch has to be exactly right. And I'm a writer who really feels like those words, things, and those like words matter to me. And I get that. But at the same time, like there was like a point in my life in this journey where I kind of was like, Amy, who are you kidding? Yeah. Nobody has seen your website yet. Nobody's looking at it yet. I don't know who you think you are right now, but nobody's noticing it. So stop obsessing over it. And just go do. Like, they're not going to notice if you have one word or this word or that, or if like it's like they're just not noticing. Like, it was kind of like a little bit of like an ego punch to be like, slow your roll there, kid. Like, yes, you're going to do great things and you're capable and worthy of all of it, but like, stop obsessing over those things and just go do it. Or if you find yourself getting lost in that space, like that should be an indicator to you to step back and really try to dig into why, like what's really going on in terms, like
what are you avoiding?
What are you avoiding? Right? Like what's going on? Like that, like all of the stuff that we were talking about last summer, like what was I avoiding? What was I missing? Like that stuff should have been an indicator. It was an indicator, and I knew, and I was thinking about it and kind of trying to work through it. But like that stuff should be an indicator to you that you need to kind of double back on why it is that you're doing this, and who you want to impact and who you want to serve. Because like as lovely and fabulous as we all are with our Instagram followings that we're growing, like chances are probably like you got to get over it, and you just kind of got to move forward. I guess what I'm saying. And that's kind of like a harsh, tough love thing, but like I really love that girl. I had a conversation with myself once, and I'm like, I forget what it was. Like I was obsessing over something on my site, and then I'm like, girl, who the heck are you kidding? Nobody's seeing that sucker. Like, stop.
I love you. And for anybody who's doubting it and you're struggling with this, you can set up Google Analytics and you can prove to yourself that nobody's
looking at it.
Right? That's like going back to webinar days. Like if you build it, they will come. No, they will not.
Yes.
Like, you gotta get out there and show them. So no, I think that was a great lesson to end on. I think that was beautiful, and I hope if people don't hear that through me, that they just heard it through the words that you just shared in your own experience. So, Amy, thank you so much. This is
my pleasure.
So fun to reconnect with you. I am like proud really doesn't even do it justice. I think you're an amazing human being. I think you are incredibly brilliant, and you were faced with some seriously tough decisions over the last year. Choosing between a bad thing and a good thing is pretty easy, but choosing between two great things is really hard. And I think you did it beautifully. And I'm just so proud of you. And when you get these big publications, you better share them in the Facebook group so that we can all go comment and like drive that traffic, right?
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So.
Yeah. It will.
Yay!
And I just would say, like, to all of the mamas in here, like, I don't care whether you're a work at home, like you already work at home, you already stay at home, like anyone can do this. You can. You totally can. Any of the mamas can do this. And like the support is there. The tools and the resources are there. Like this is so possible. And whatever you're afraid of, like it's so worth it. Like waking up with your kids and playing trains instead of like going off to work, that's worth it. Like it's so worth it. And you can totally do it. Anyone, any single one of these mamas, like everyone, I guarantee, is going through their own sets of challenges. And just keep fighting through it. Like you will get there. You'll come out on the other side and it will be the greatest thing you've ever done.
That's awesome. I can't top that. All right, everybody, have an amazing rest of your day. Amy, thank you. Go check out the comments. You got tons of love. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Love you guys.